What's up, Tracy? Welcome back to another week of the show that we don't know what we're calling it.
What
Um,
we kind of need people to tell us the name of it.
I know we should figure out
Suggestion.
a name for it, but I don't quite know what it is. I do have to say though that the lighting looks great because I got a light here, but I've also got the natural light coming in this way.
Oh, love it.
So I feel like it looks good, and some wine,
Oh,
a
I'm
little bit of
on my
wine.
cleanse, so I have water.
I've got that too. It's right here as well. So yeah, so I'll be very, very hydrated. So, well, we like to start off with something fun every time we do this thing. And today, fun fact is National Pineapple Upside Down Cake Day. Did you know that?
Only because of you.
Good, 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 good. And do you eat pineapple upside down cake?
No, I eat pineapples and I drink pineapple juice with my tequila, but I don't eat pineapple upside down cake.
Oh, well, here's a fun fact
Okay.
about pineapple upside down cake. So in the United States, pineapple upside down cake became popular in the mid 1920s after the Dole Pineapple Company sponsored a contest for pineapple recipes. They received over 2,500 various submissions for the inverted pineapple cake, and then they ran an advertisement about it, which increased the cake's popularity. Honestly, it's one of my favorite cakes. I love pineapple upside down cake.
Is it?
Yeah, it is some good stuff. I
So
like
it's like a
pineapple upside
cake
down
and then
cake.
the pineapples are on the bottom.
Yeah, so you put the pineapples in the bottom, then you put the cake batter over the top of that, and then you dump it, and then you bake it, and then you flip it over, so then the pineapple becomes on the top of the
Top.
cake. Yeah, unless you're like my grandma, she used to make it where she would put the crushed pineapple in the bottom, put the cake over the top, then still let everything sit on the bottom. I flipped it over because I use pineapple rings. I like that better. But I do mine without maraschino cherries because I think those are disgusting.
Is it just like a
Um,
vanilla cake batter, like a plain?
yeah, like a yellow cake batter, like Jiffy Cake mix.
All right, I'll have to try, give it a try.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yum.
Um, yeah. So anyway, let's talk about real estate since it's why we're here. So this morning I did a bathroom chats and we talked about what how many houses were on the market. I just did a quick check of the stats right now before we went on. 1,754 properties in all of San Diego County. That is nuts.
It
That is nuts. 3 million people, by the way, and the dogs are squeaking. That's what that is in the background.
1,700 homes for 3 million people.
1,754 homes for 3 million people. And the median price for a home is a little over $1 million. We only have 505 houses under $800,000. That's attached and detached homes in all of San Diego County.
Wow.
So buyers are really out there competing for properties right now, and it's just absolutely insane. And because of that, some people are waiting for a crash to happen, which is not going to happen. So this week alone, last week I wrote an offer for some clients, and we sweetened the offer to make it really, really good for them to cancel the open house and accept our offer. They still did the open house. They ended up with 14 offers. They only counted the top 5. We weren't in the top 5, and we wrote a very good, strong
Oh,
offer.
man.
Very good, strong offer. They only counted the top 5 offers. We didn't end up getting that. So there were many of us who weren't. Oh, there's Otis again. Many of us who didn't get that. Then another one I wrote. We were the first ones to see it. We saw it. We wrote a very good offer. We were one of 10. We did get a counter offer on that one. That one we did get a counter offer on, but yeah, the listing agents out there are getting a little bit nervous over appraisals now. So they
Yeah.
want buyers to cover appraisals again, or release your appraisal contingency. Are you
Yeah.
seeing that?
I had one actually today, and it wasn't really common, but it came in 10 grand light, and
Mm-hmm.
they knew that they had the buyer by the buyer, but because we got them in for the down payment assistance program the day that they ran out of funds. I locked them at like 7:30 in the morning, and it ran out at like 12:30, and the listing agent knew it, so they would not negotiate. Luckily, on that particular program, I had some wiggle room so I could have them come in with the same amount of money. But it was
Mm-hmm.
10 grand, which isn't a ton, but But I think, yeah, because there's not a lot of inventory selling and the appraiser
Mhm.
needs like comps,
Mhm.
right? And things
Mhm.
sold a year ago, even less. So it's just, you know,
Mhm.
what other
Mhm.
challenges are we going to get faced with, Chris? Where's
I
our
don't
break?
know. I don't know. I don't know. But if you are in my universe, I sent out an email to everybody in my universe today that it said, "Hello, could you finish this sentence for me? If I could sell my home for X number of dollars, I would list my home this spring. Can't wait to hear your answer." Now, I sent this out to my database. So if you were in my database, you got this.
Yep.
And then I also sent this out to my I there's a lot of notices of default that I've been sending this out to.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
sent that out, and there was someone who responded $1 million, which I was like, oh, okay. So then of course, I looked up the
Like,
address.
where do you live? Yeah.
Yeah, he's about $500,000 off. Um, and so I'm gonna reach out tomorrow because it is a default situation. So we need to keep that in mind too. That there's still people out there that are in that situation, and that, like we talked about last week, time is ticking. So you can't be that way. But if you are listening to this, if you are watching this, and you are thinking that you want to sell your home as you or if you want to sell your home, um, you're going to get top dollar right now because people are competing, especially if property is priced really well.
Yeah.
You're going to do very, very well in this market right now because people are paying over. But that brings me to my next question, or my next thing that I wanted us to talk about, and that
Yep.
is for those people that need to sell houses and buy houses at the same time, because that gets a little bit tricky. And so, what I wanted to do was start out with what is it that a buyer can do on the lending side to prepare themselves for a sell and a buy at the same time? And what are their options?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, it's coming up a lot because people are hesitant, like without having a home picked out. So there's a couple of options. One, I know what people have done is if they have the equity and they have a little bit of time, they'll do a really quick, like we have like a 5-day home equity line of credit that they could take out on their existing property as a primary residence, close that, fund that, be done with that loan, and then use that money to put down towards a new home.
Okay.
So we'd have to qualify them on both payments,
Hmm.
right? On their current mortgage, the equity line, and then on the new mortgage. And it's very similar, like on a bridge loan. So people talk about bridge loans all of the time, where you're using your current home as collateral along with the other home as collateral. So they're holding the collateral on both houses.
Hmm.
It's usually a 12-month term with no payments. So you have to sell your home within the 12 months. But a lot of companies have, debt ratio requirements where, again, you have to qualify on the house that you're keeping and the house that you're buying. And some of them go up to about 50% debt to income ratio, which is still pretty good. But they also have minimum loan amounts. So I've seen like 250,000, right? Which means you have to have a good amount of equity between both houses and you have to be putting a lot of money down. So usually on the new purchase, so if you do a bridge loan as a seller, you're gonna do the bridge loan. And then as a buyer, though, they're gonna have you put 20% down. So if you were considering putting less down, right, they're gonna
Hmm.
have you put 20% because they're going to also do the mortgage on the new purchase. So they'll
So
do the bridge.
that's going to be the minimum is 20%.
Exactly. So they'll qualify, like basically, like what I'll do is I'll work with the lender and I'll qualify them on the bridge loan and on the new purchase at the same time to make sure that we know the maximum sales price that they can go out and get once the bridge loan closes.
Got
And
you.
usually I have some information here. Yeah. So there's no payments. There's no, it basically, if you default, like if you don't pay it off within the 12 months, the rate goes to 12%, which houses are selling so quickly that I don't think
12
it'll take
months.
that long.
Yeah,
They
it shouldn't take
generally
12 months.
charge like this particular lender charges a 2% origination fee. So on 250 grand, that's about $5,000. and then they have an underwriting fee of about $15.95. So the closing costs will be minimal, and then you'll have your closing costs on the new purchase.
Okay.
And then there's no penalty, so you'll pay off that bridge loan once you sell.
So it sounds, I mean, there's definitely options out there. I mean, it's just, I guess it's just which one appeals to the borrower,
And
right?
it's which one they qualify for, because
Mhm.
it's not just I mean, the other thing is, you know, if they happen to have money of their own, then we could just look to qualify them, maybe as a departing residence, where they decide maybe to rent, but they have 5% down that they could put on the new purchase and qualify
Mhm.
that way. Or maybe they aren't going to rent, so we just hit them for both payments if they have
Mhm.
enough income.
Mhm.
And then they have some of their own money to put down, and they don't need to sell the home. So there are options for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and so tell everybody a little bit about your new mortgage company because we didn't really go over that last week. So you
Yeah.
left your previous bank that you worked at. Tell us a little bit about the new
Some of
company.
the differences. Yeah.
Yeah, what are the differences? Why you left? And so
Yeah.
because it's my understanding it's options, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as for my realtor partners especially, so I was in the retail world, not the bank world, but the retail world, which is like it's called a correspondent lender, right? So we basically fund the loan, and then it gets serviced, and we follow the guidelines of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and we did your traditional financing, right? Your
Hmm.
conventional, your FHA, your VA. So I was getting asked a lot for bridge loans, for investor loans, for no income, no ratio, bank statement. If someone can only use 1 year W-2 or 1 year 1099. I mean, there's so many loan programs out there that I didn't have access to.
Hmm.
So I moved from the retail world, which I was in for 25 years, back in December. And I went over to Nexa Mortgage is the name of the company. So I still like run my own thing, right? I'm just backed by Nexa Mortgage. And we
Hmm.
have access to over 196 different lenders. So what's changed is now I'm called, it's like we're wholesale, right? Or
Hmm.
called a broker,
Hmm.
where you deal with me throughout the entire process, but I have the ability to price with everybody, to see product with everybody that you qualify with, and pick the very best. So you're not just stuck to one company.
Hmm.
So for example, I'll look the day that I talk to someone, and we're going through this with Grisel right now, and I'll look at pricing and I'll
Hmm.
quote it out with one lender. But if they get into contract and the pricing is better with another lender, I have the ability to switch and give the client a lower interest rate, which I wasn't able to do before. Um, and then the
That's
product
cool.
mix, like bridge loans, I have a loan right now that's no income, no ratio. She got like this life insurance type of income, and she had assets. She's owned 6 properties. So there was no way we were going to be able to qualify her with income. So she's doing a new purchase, 1.2 million. She had a good amount down from a house she sold, and we just did no income, no ratio. So they just use assets to qualify the person, which is a great option for people too.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's options for those people who are self-employed, creative,
Yeah.
income, or people with multiple businesses, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's even like a P&L loan where, you don't have to show tax returns. You get a third party written P&L for your business, and that's the income that's used.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. So, so yeah, so let's step back for 1 second about because we've talked about the bridge loans, about selling and buying at the same time, because there is a little bit of chaos that goes with that, in not only in the stress level, but as well as the lending. It's going to be, oh my gosh, one job, and that was to keep the dog
That's
quiet.
okay.
But this is also going on the podcast, and so if you are listening to the podcast, this is one thing you have to know. I have 2 puppies. I make no excuses for the puppies. They,
Come
they
on.
bark. They just bark, and they're
All
cute.
good.
My dogs are cute. They're very, very cute. But yeah, so I just wanted to briefly touch back and circle back on the whole selling a house and buying a house at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, and that is because there's a lot of people doing that. So a couple of creative things that you can do as a seller, like Tracy said, do a bridge loan. home equity line of credit, get that out. The other thing that you can do is we can ask for a rent back from the new buyer up to 2 months, because lenders will allow buyers or a seller to stay in the property for up to 2 months, but no
Yep.
longer.
Yeah, 60 days.
Yeah, so it's 60 days. So you can get 60 days. And in most cases, buyers are just giving that 60 days back to the seller. The other
Have you
thing
seen it,
is,
Chris, that people are writing in the contract that the seller has to obtain financing, like they have to find their new home in order for the contract to be valid? Someone told
yes,
me about that, but that was in
yes,
New York, and it was like, I think, a requirement in that state. But is that something in California
it's
that
it,
happens?
it's not a requirement, but it is very popular. So on multiple listings out there, it will say the sale of the property is subject to seller finding suitable housing.
Right.
So that is very, very, very common. And so that's why I don't want buyers to freak out, because if you do that and once you sell the property, then the property is yours. You get the seller to stay there for up to 2 months, so that way they can take the equity and then roll that equity back over.
Mhm.
Um, but the I had another thought and it just escaped me right now because I hear dog toys in the back.
I can't hear
So
anything, so
you
don't sweat.
can't. Oh no. Do you hear the barking though,
I
right?
heard the one part. Yes,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Um, but yeah, so there is a lot of that. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So two things about on the buy side though that you just have to be aware of. I don't have a ton of concern about this if it's a seller selling and the seller is renting back from you. Um, but you have to keep in mind as a buyer that when you do allow a rent back to the seller or the tenant in place, you then become a landlord.
Mhm.
And that is very, very important, because after that contract closes, we're not allowed to get involved in that if there was a dispute to come out of it. So I tell people that I don't have too much concern if it's the seller, although there have been instances where sellers have not done the right thing and they stayed there. If it's a tenant, I wouldn't let you buy a property and allow the tenant to stay there,
Right.
at no cost, because you now are becoming their landlord. And we do have, eviction laws that you have to follow. So just keep that in mind, which is why it's important to work with an experienced realtor like myself and an experienced lender like
Mhm.
Tracy. You have to know these things, because if there's a mistake that's made, I mean,
Yeah.
it can be detrimental and cost
Well, too, it's
thousands
never
down the
too
road.
early. Like, it's never too early. Like a seller, like you were saying, if you sold your house this spring, or if a seller's thinking about selling their home and they come to you and you give them their market analysis, and they're figuring out their options, it doesn't cost you anything to just find out from us, right? What you could
Mm-mm,
do based on
mm-mm.
your equity position. I've
Yep,
mentioned before, now I can do soft credit pulls. So,
yep.
you don't even have to have a ding on your credit for me to see what your credit scores are, your debts, what your debt to income ratio will be. We can handle all of that on the front end before you even list your house. So what you're getting into.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So when somebody does a credit pull and it's a hard credit pull, and when somebody is shopping for a mortgage, what is that time frame and how many times can they have their credit pull, because everybody is shopping lenders, right? So how many credit pulls can happen before it takes a
Yeah,
major hit
I
on their
don't know the
credit?
specific number, but what they tell us to say is that it's not like a credit card, right? You can't take out more than one mortgage. So if you're going to inquire, you do want to do it within a short period of time. They usually say within like 10 days or so. But that's one of the reasons why you would want to work with a broker like me, because I pull your credit once and have access to everybody's interest rates.
Hmm.
Right. So it's just like when you go to buy a car, you don't want that car dealer, which they most likely will do. They'll shop it with different banks, but those banks
Right,
have to pull your credit. This
right.
is different. We use one credit report. And again, we could use that soft pull. Once we do a hard pull, then there's trigger leads right now, which companies are paying credit agencies to gather information of our clients, which there's a way that you can opt out of that. You
Hmm.
can actually go into a registry and opt out if you wanted to, so you're not getting harassed. But I've had people text me and say, someone just called and told me that they work with you. And that I applied for an application and that they could get better rates. And I'm like, no, it's not me. Like people are just making things up to try to get deals.
Yeah.
And we don't sell information. It's the agencies or the bureaus that are selling their information. So
Yeah. Yes. Keep that in mind. We don't do that. We have to give your information to the escrow company, and that's pretty much it.
exactly. If I could sell people's information, man, I would be loaded. But no,
Oh, I know, right? Nope, nope, we don't do that. All right. So, is there anything else that we missed that we wanted to talk about this week?
No, I mean, you've asked me in the past about some down payment assistance. I know we were a little bit bummed about the
Oh, we
20%
were
down.
very bummed.
Very bummed. But I've been doing some research, and I mean, now that came out, there are other lenders, that's not Cal HFA, but are really promoting their down payment assistance. So I have one lender that has their own exclusive down payment assistance program, and you could get 3.5% down, which on an FHA loan, that would cover basically your down payment. And then you would need seller concession because there's generally a cost, just like there was on the 20% down assistance, right? There's a cost. So, but on an FHA loan, you can get up to 6% of the sales price from the seller, if possible. And I know in this market, it's a little bit tougher, but so you're basically, you can get your 3.5% down, you can get a seller credit. You're not coming in with really much. But again, there's qualifications, right? So credit score, debt to income ratio, but there are programs out there for people, not as amazing as the 20%, but still options to help out.
Nice.
Have you heard the news about the 1% down loan? That's like out there.
No.
So
What's this?
So it's funny. So one of the lenders that we partner with is UWM, or United Wholesale Mortgage. They're the number one lender. They beat out Rocket Mortgage last year. So they're now the number one lender. And Nexa is one of their biggest clients and biggest partners. So when the Cal HFA program came out, they weren't able to offer it. So instead, they came out with their own 1% down purchase program. So
that's cool.
So Freddie Mac allows you, or Fannie, to buy a home with 3% down usually, right? So they're going to do 2%, but up to $4,000. So in our market, that's a little bit tough, right?
Yeah.
That's like the $200,000 sales price. The buyer ends up coming with 1%. But I found out that if the $4,000 is exceeded, the buyer can come in with the difference. So basically, they're getting a free $4,000 to go towards the purchase of their home. It's not repayable, but the caveat to it is it's a program that they've partnered with the agencies on for low to moderate income. So you have to be at 50% of the area median income, right? So in our market, it's a little bit tough because if you're making 55 grand a year, it's going to be kind of difficult to qualify to afford a home in San Diego. You just said the median price was over 800.
800.
Right? But that's the important thing is I had realtors like, the 1% down, what is this? And it's like, okay, I don't throw it out there and announce it because there's always stipulations to everything. So I just want your audience to know, if there's a program out there, I'll have access to it, but get all of the details. Talk to Chris, talk to me, understand, could you qualify, right? Don't rely on something, get educated. And that's what we're trying to do. I feel like even with these calls each week.
Yeah, no, I think that we're doing a good job. I
kind of thought of a name.
What
if we're keeping it real estate?
Okay, so the only reason I wouldn't take that is because I have a friend in Washington, and her whole thing, her name is Liz, and Liz Johnson, and her whole thing is Liz keeps it real estate. So I wouldn't steal that from her and steal her time. You would love her though. She is no nonsense. This girl, she is no nonsense. I love her. I love watching her Facebook posts. She is good, people. Let me tell you, she's an ex-cop, and
Oh, awesome.
she's a mega agent up in Washington. Oh, I have to show you this. You
Okay.
can't see this if you're on the podcast, but I got a new T-shirt.
Oh,
Dolly
so
Parton.
cool. Love it.
You can't see it on the podcast, but you can listen to it. It's a Dolly Parton shirt. It's the 50th anniversary of "I Will Always Love You." So
That's
there
so
you have
great.
it.
Yeah, and let's hear from your audience. Like, what do they want to know about, anything?
Exactly.
I mean, just let us know and we can prepare and get information out to you guys.
Yeah, yeah, because we look for stuff every single week, and let's do that, and then I got nothing
Oh, let's
else.
talk about Saturday.
Saturday. Oh, Saturday. So
Yeah.
Saturday we are doing a fundraiser, and the fundraiser is for Animal Synergy. Animal Synergy um, they're a great organization that helps home elderly and disabled dogs.
Mhm.
And one of my clients connected me to Animal Synergy. Um, I forgot to call the brewery or text the brewery and tell them how many people would be coming today
Oh,
or to be coming. But anyway, yeah, we're going to be having some beer. We're going to make, if you feel like you want to make a donation to Animal Synergy, that would be awesome. And yeah, it's going to be a fun event. Come have a beer, come have some really good cheese, and make a
and it's at
donation. It's at
Anonymous
Hopnonymous Brewing Company from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock on
on Saturday.
Saturday. Yes, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, fun, fun. All right, my lovelies. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming back, Tracie. You're frozen. Tracie's frozen. She's gone. I think she lost her internet connection. So, anyway, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I
Oh,
thoroughly enjoyed. Oh, are you there?
yeah, I was lost for a second. I was like spinning, but
Oh,
hi,
now you're back. Now
I'm
you're
back.
back. You're
But
back.
I
I
want
was
to go
just,
on Saturday. You could bring your dog, right?
yes, bring your
Okay, I
dog. I'm
told
gonna have
people they could
my
bring.
puppies are gonna be there, so you'll be able to meet
So
the puppies.
excited.
Yes, they're playing now. I think we have to go take them out to do
Okay,
their business.
thank
All
you.
right, love. All right, I'll talk to you
Go
later. Bye
make a
bye.
pineapple upside down cake really quick.
I know, right?
All right.
All right. Good
Okay,
night.
bye. Okay, good night.